So we're going to screen our film, The Great Awakening, Breaking the Chains of the Democratic Party. What? Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have downplayed that. That's special too. Like, that part's great. We're gonna screen the movie. When we get done, we're gonna have a panel discussion, and then we have a really, really, really special treat that just kind of came together today. Fox News is here. And during the panel discussion around 8:45 p.m., we will be doing a live hit on Fox News from this theater on Fox News at night. So we'll have to take a brief break from the panel for about 7 minutes. I think Isaiah Washington and Isaiah Washington's here, by the way. Amazing. Yeah, so we'll take a brief break, and then Isaiah and I are gonna talk to Fox News, and then we'll resume the panel. We have an amazing panel tonight. I'm actually gonna wait and let them do the introductions when the movie is over and tell their stories. And basically the format of the evening is going to be, as soon as I get done talking, which will be in just a second, we'll do the screening of the movie. We'll bring the panel down. We'll allow all the panelists to introduce themselves and kind of briefly either tell their story or what it is they'd like to communicate with you all tonight about walking away and why they think the message of walk away is important. And because this is a town hall, we want to hear from you too. So we really want to have a back and forth discussion with the audience. The goal going forward, this is only the second town hall that we've done. The first was in New York City. We had a great experience there. I expect we'll have a great experience tonight. And the goal as we kind of grow this series, which is the Walkaway Town Halls, is we want to go across the country, gain a lot of momentum, hopefully continue to draw large crowds, and bring in as many Democrats as possible. I don't want to do an echo chamber. I don't want to go around the country, speaking at audiences, doing rallies, which I think are great. I want to actually engage in open dialogue. I want to hear from Democrats and liberals, and I want to have a conversation and have a chance to say our piece and listen to people say their piece and have an open and respectful dialogue, because I think that's really missing in America right now. Open and respectful dialogue in politics. Yeah. It's really up to us, I think, to reclaim the narrative which has been hijacked by the left, that anybody who's not a liberal and anyone who's not a Democrat is a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, a sexist, a monster, and supports the second coming of Hitler. I don't buy into that, and I don't think other people should either, and I think it's up to us to correct that narrative, and that's part of what we're trying to do with the Walkaway campaign. Melissa,
yes.
Are we ready to begin the movie if I wrap this up?
Yes, we are.
We are? Is that Kim? Hi, Kim. All right, so I'm not gonna take any more time because I know you guys have been waiting a long time. Hopefully anyone who got misdirected will continue to filter into the theater. But we will begin the screening now. It begins with my 6-minute video, which started the Walkaway campaign, and then it goes right into our feature, which was created by that gentleman right there, Mike Boss. Please stand up. Give everybody a wave. That is Mike Boss, who created the movie that you're about to see, The Great Awakening, Breaking the Chains of the Democratic Party. The Walkaway campaign started as a video testimonial campaign for people to tell their stories why they're walking away from the left. We really wanted to engage minorities who I think have been targeted directly by the Democratic Party, whether you're black or brown or LGBT. The Democratic Party wants you to feel like you do not have a choice. They want you to feel like you must vote Democrat because you are an oppressed victim in this country who does not have a choice. I would like to shatter that narrative, and I think that you all, many of you probably also would like to shatter that narrative, and that's what we're trying to do. So this movie is made using 20 testimonials, walkaway testimonials of Black Americans who have walked away from the Democratic Party. It is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Mike Boss, for creating this amazing movie. And with that, let's start the show. Thank you all so much for coming. So we've got a big panel tonight. We started a little bit late. I'm not going to say probably another word the rest of the night. I'm going to turn it over to the panel. And so what I'd like to do is just allow everyone a chance to sort of introduce themselves a little bit and tell you either a walkaway story or anything that they'd like to communicate with you, anything that they think is important. And then let's do a Q&A with the audience. You like it? Why don't we start with the man who came out tonight to represent Hollywood walking away, Isaiah Washington.
Yeah, I walked away. I walked away, I don't know what to think about it. I walked away in 1981. I actually won a debate just because I like being contrary. I love it. I like going left when everybody wants me to go right. I like going right when everybody's going left. And I remember it just dawned on me that I won a debate in 1980 saying that Ronald Reagan would go down as the greatest president in the history of America. Wow. Now, hold on. It wasn't because I knew what the hell I was talking about. It was because somehow I had got my hands on this book written by George Jackson called The Soledad Brothers. And George Jackson, before he was killed in prison, said verbatim how this man who was working for General Electric was going to become a governor, wasn't a great actor, but was highly loved, had great hair, and he was going to become the president of the United States. Now this is, you can fact check it, you can snope it, you can go read the book Soledad Brothers. And we had microfiche back then. So I had to do all my research in the local library going through microfiche. I just aged myself. So that's how I figured it out, and I got lucky, and then he did become president. It was amazing. On the 444th day, the hostages out of Iran were released the day after he became president, and Jimmy Carter was thoroughly embarrassed. He was gone. Cut to, I had never ever voted or felt compelled to vote because I was in the military under the Reagan administration. So the Russians were already coming. So we were already training all over the country, all over the world, preparing for the Russians to attack. And the Russians are still attacking here. And this is in the 80s. So the first time I ever voted was for Senator Barack Obama. The first time I ever voted, the first time I ever wanted to vote for anyone. So it just dawned on me that I wasn't happy with Clinton, I wasn't happy with George W. Bush or the senior, I wasn't happy with a lot of stuff because I'm former military and a lot of my friends were still fighting in wars that I didn't understand. And I think when the first Gulf War broke out, and my friend of mine, who's still my friend, DE agent now in South Africa, they were sending him off to Iraq. I burst out in tears and just started running down the middle of the streets of New York because I thought I was gonna lose my best friend. So I didn't realize I walked away in 1980. Now officially, I'm with the Green Party until I find further evidence to become a Republican. I'm not saying that I'm out of that. I'm not saying I'm not out of becoming a libertarian or whatever. I'm not into the labels. I'm into getting things done.
There it is.
Yeah. So whoever is going to actually get policy done and help people in America, all people in America, whoever's going to help stop the rhetoric, the toxic blacklisting. You know, I find it very interesting that the liberals media are more interested in blacklisting when I know that the people in charge of that are probably the offspring of those who were blacklisted in the 50s. So I don't understand how that's working. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be pissed off with Brandon and be, you know, whatever I can tactically be to get other people to understand that we have the power to make change.
I'm gonna pass. Oh, you've got a mic. Pass over to Joy Vila. Is that Cara Bustos? Can you stand up? She's in the movie.
She's in the movie.
I've never met you. Will you come hug me?
Come on.
We've talked on the phone so many times. I've never met her in person. Yeah, one of the stars of the movie, right here. Thank you for coming. That's awesome. Yeah. Joy Vila.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon, for doing this. You know, a lot of you guys know me. Some of you may not know me, but a lot of you guys don't. You know when I came out, when I walked away, right? In 2017, I wore a Make America Great Again dress with Trump on the rump at the Grammys. But many of you guys may not know my WalkAway story, and that's probably because Brandon's been bugging me to finally do my video, and I haven't done it yet. But I will be doing one. So I was raised, I'm Black and Latina. So my dad my parents both passed away, but my dad was Italian and Argentinian. My grandpa was from Argentina. And my mom was Black American and Native American. And we were very mixed in our household. You know, I had to deal with a lot of BS from people who would say, what are you? trying to label me. I have a Spanish last name that we pronounce it Italian though, Villa. So I would get a lot of, exactly, yeah, Villa. I'd get a lot of hate from different groups. So I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. I grew up in theater, musical theater, singing, dancing, expressing myself through art and creation. So I didn't care what they called me. I'm like, you don't know what I am. I know I'm a human being. I know who I am. I know God loves me. That's enough. I know I was put on this earth to create and to let other people know they were put on this earth to be special. Right? Can I get an amen? Amen. How many other artists are in this audience? Artists are very special people. God bless you guys. Artists, creators. You guys are all special, but artists are a little bit more special. Come on. So, you say no one's questioning that? That's right. So I put all my pain and all my anger and any of those feelings through my art. Now flash forward to where I'm of a voting age, and I voted for Obama, like everybody else around me. I was like, yeah, I want a black president. Duh, of course. And my dad would say he's mixed like you, he's black, he's Nigerian, but he's also white. So that was a big thing, like that identity. He's also mixed. He's Kenyan, right? Yeah, so he's African and American, but raised in Asia, all these debatable things, right? Yeah, maybe not born in America. We don't know. Anyways, that's not what this is about. Anyways, but so I wasn't really into politics, though. I was raised, Clinton was a national embarrassment. So I knew that. I remember Clinton. I was like a little baby. That was obvious. So the Clintons were like, pawn scum. But Bush, right? My family was pro-Bush. My dad, who ran the family, typical Latino, Italian family, he loved Bush. He had Fox News on all the time. So I just equated like Republican and Fox and all that stuff with my dad. My mom was non-political, but I know my mom's family voted Democrat because she was black. That's what we did. Just like these testimonials. I was like, exactly. You don't even think about it. You don't question it. That's how you vote. And it's not a big deal because you're an artist and who cares, right? I'm going to go to Hollywood and become famous anyways. Who cares about politics? That was what I used to think. Obviously, I've changed my mind. Just a little bit. So I voted for Obama, and I was a registered independent. And then Trump came around. And I was disappointed with Obama because he promised a lot of things. He said he would bring the troops home, and I had a lot of family. I still have a lot of family in the military. And he didn't bring anybody home. He didn't do anything for us, and I was disappointed, but I was like, but you support your president, that's what you do. And then time goes by, I'm traveling, I'm out of the country. I hear about this guy named, Donald Trump? Is that his name? Donald Trump? Running for president. And I hear all these rumors. You guys know the CNN headlines, racist, homophobic, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, there's no way I'm voting for this guy. In fact, I'm not even gonna vote. I'm done with this racist nation, blah, 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 whatever. I was liberal. I was SJW to the core. I thought I was doing the right thing. I love my gay brothers and sisters. I love my all different color brothers and sisters. I thought I was doing the right thing, just like Brandon shared in his WalkAway video. I was like, I'm not a hater. I want to unite. I want to be better. I want us to build this country for better. And liberals had all the great propaganda. They were the ones that all the artists were liberals. Like, I want to go to Hollywood and be like those guys, right? All my, glittering stars, all the people I looked up to seemed to be liberals and Democrats. And I didn't put too much thought into it, and that was the problem. So then when my friend said, Bernie's the guy, Bernie's our man, he's like a populist, I was like, that guy sounds cool. He's like old and stuff, yeah. And I tweeted, I was like, Bernie, fill in the burn, It was trendy. I mean, that was my mindset, like hashtag feminist, like, oh my gosh, girl power, and that was the scene. And then I would start talking to people who were liberals, and I was like, wait a second, you're pro-choice, but I'm pro-life. And they're like, oh no, you can't be a feminist and be pro-choice. I mean, be pro-life. You have to be pro-choice. I was like, yeah, but babies are lives. Like, I mean, come on, like these are babies. We're not, And I go, okay. And I had a pregnancy, an unplanned pregnancy in an abusive situation when I was 19 years old. And so I was pro-life. I chose adoption, even though, thank you, you can clap for that. Thank you so much. Even though the nurse who gave my pregnancy test almost demanded that I get an abortion. And now when I look at it, I'm like, she probably saw a young black girl and was like, there's no way she can raise a child. I mean, let's be real. That's how a lot of Democrats think. That's how a lot of liberals think. They're gonna put you in a box. So I was like, wait a second, all these labels, all these boxes, they're doing the same thing to Trump. Maybe I should actually look at what he's saying. And it was a close girlfriend of mine who said, why don't you watch some of his speeches? And I was like, yeah, right. Okay, fine, I'll watch. So I go on YouTube, blah, 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 start watching. Hours later, I took the red pill. I fell in deep in that rabbit hole. Woo, child. I was like, what? He sounds like my dad. He said the same things my dad would say. Yo, this guy's cool. This is awesome. And then I had to, of course, red pill my husband, who's here, who's probably gonna be so embarrassed. Immigrant, legal, hey, holla. From Denmark, it's my husband. I was like, you gotta check out Trump, you gotta check him out. He's like, okay, well, I'm Danish, we don't really care about politics, blah, blah, blah. So I just kept watching, and I became a closeted Trump supporter. I couldn't tell anybody. I told like 3 friends who I already knew were Trump supporters. And I continued to use Black Lives Matter hashtags, feminist hashtags, all those things that you gotta do to save face when you're in Hollywood. I did not want to be blacklisted. I was scared for my career. Then I realized I've successfully toured 35 countries on my own, self-funded. Put out my own album, self-funded. Thank you. Radio play, self-funded. I'm like, wait a second, I manage myself, I'm independent. Can I do what I want? I mean, I'm a registered damn independent. Am I supposed to be liberal still? If I like Trump, can't I just say it? And long story short, I came out proudly at the Grammys. That's my style. I said, I have to go 100% because once I commit, I commit. And this man, what he's saying is truth, and he's fighting for all Americans. And it's unfair what they say to him, and what unfair what they say about him. And if they say that about the president, who's a billionaire, who they loved just a few short years ago, right? What are they gonna say about me? What are they gonna say about you? What are they really saying about Americans and the over 65 million people who are Republicans, who did vote for the president, who don't identify as anything but want to be Americans? So I voted for President Trump just in the nick of time, and I've been out ever since. All right, you guys go crush it at Fox News. So that's my story.
All right, I am Jesse Lee Peterson. I appreciate that. First, I want to, all of these people on the front row are from my nonprofit organization, Bond. They're a member of Bond. Isn't that amazing? So thank you all for coming. They work on the radio show and the TV show, and so I really appreciate you coming out. I became a Republican 30 years ago. I grew up in Alabama, as most of you know, on a plantation under the Jim Crow laws. And while growing up, everybody I knew were Republicans. All the black people I knew were Republicans. And they became Democrats once the Civil Rights Movement started and Lyndon B. Johnson gave out free stuff. And that's when blacks started to change, as far as I remember. And so when I moved to LA at 18, I became a Democrat because I started listening to Jesse Jackson and the NAACP and others, and they were all saying that the Republican Party hated black people. And at the time, I didn't know the history, of the Republican Party, even though I knew everybody was Republican in my community, black. And so after a while, I started to question things. And I wonder, if Republicans hate black people, why is it that Jesse Jackson and Louis Farrakhan and NAACP and others, they were rich, they were living in nice communities, they were married, they had children. I'm like, why are they holding these black people back? And as soon as I started to question things, that's when I started to wake up. And they said in the movie, to know yourself, the most important thing you can do in order to make that change, you have to know yourself, examine thyself and know yourself, and then you start to wake up. And I realized that we have been lied to by other black people, that we have been told lies about the Republican Party, wanting to put us back in slavery and And I was wondering, how are they going to put me back in slavery? You know, slavery doesn't even exist anymore, you know? And I had just come from Jim Crow, and so I realized we had been lied to. And so I went and I read about the Democratic Party platform, and I read up on the Republican platform because I didn't know any Republicans in California, no black Republicans especially, right? And so I read up on the platform, and I noticed that the Democratic Party was anti-God, anti-family, anti-born children. They hated the military, and they hated everything. And so, God had changed my heart. And so I went back to God and I said, and I read the Republican platform, and it was for America. It was for the unborn children. It was about God. It was about everything that was right, strong military. And so I went back to God and I said to him, you know, I have one more favor I need to ask of you. And he's like, what is it? And I said, you know, you've changed my heart and I can no longer identify with the Democratic platform. And I said, I'm a Democrat. Can you forgive me? And you're like, yeah, no problem. And so God forgave me for being a Democrat, and I became a conservative Republican. And I've been that way for the last 30 years. And in closing, at my nonprofit, we are rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. Yes. I believe in that order of God in Christ, Christ is man, man over woman, and woman over children. I noticed that things fell apart once black men stopped getting married. They were not the head of their families. They were not leading the way. And that order of God was broken. So what we're doing at Bond is rebuilding the family by rebuilding men, bringing back that order of God. We have an entrepreneur academy where we're teaching young men how to start their own businesses. We work with all men, and we're teaching them how to start their own business. We tutor, we counsel. We have a TV show called The Fallen State TV. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's amazing. We also have a radio show, and it's just mind-blowing to things that has happened over the last 29 years of the organization. And I want to thank you all for helping us to get that done. So we're having a 10th annual men's conference coming up this June 15 on Father's Day weekend. And we invite all the men to come out. It's going to be amazing. We have men coming from around the world. So it's going to be really amazing. Go get involved with that. And last thing is, I noticed that when these men and women heart changes, they can no longer identify with the Democratic platform. They immediately become Republicans without having to tell them to do it, because they can identify with the values of the Republican Party. And so I always tell people that our battle is not about racism, sexism, homophobia-ism, Islamophobia-ism, deadbeat-dad-ism, or anti-Semitism. It's either right or wrong, good or evil. It's a spiritual battle, a battle between good and evil. And I'm grateful for what I saw today. So thank you for having me.
That's amazing. Hold on, wait. God, he said that's amazing. No, it really is. I've been watching a lot of Jesse. Well, my story is...
You were on the show.
I was on the show. But I'm just saying I've been watching as well. Maybe I don't need it that loud. But yeah, check that out. My story, I started doing hip hop when I was 18 or 17. I liked the fact that they were talking about things I didn't learn in history class in school. So I went to college, and I think I blacklisted myself very early. I was talking about conspiracy theories and things that we now know are true. So I had meetings. They told me to rap about girls and money, and I was like, I don't really care about that stuff. I want to talk about Bin Laden. They were like, it's not gonna fly. So I've been blacklisted, I think, for a minute. Going through college, I didn't really think about it that much. I knew both parties were corrupt, and Obama, I was like, yeah, he smoked weed one time, and maybe he'll be a little bit better. But I didn't really love him that much. When I say I was a Democrat or a liberal, people were like, how? I just leaned left. I liked environmentalism, and I kind of knew something was up. And then this 2016 election, I started following Bernie. I thought he was a matrix breaker, and that's what I like to call him. I never really liked the policies, the $15 minimum wage. That didn't really appeal to me. But I was like, you know what, maybe he's outside the two-party system. And I started following him specifically and seeing how crazy the media really was. I always knew it was a lie, but following it day by day, I'm like, oh my God, the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, all of the social media companies, they're lying in unison and just pushing this ridiculous lie. I ended up voting third party. I knew out here it was strategic. I knew it didn't matter, first of all, and I was like, it's a protest vote, we'll throw it away. Cali's a rep. And then I just started really giving him a chance. I'm not a mean person, so I was like, you know what? First thing that struck out, I keep saying that even in my videos, struck out. It stuck out. Too much work. But people kept saying he's a reality star, and he was just like a trashy reality host. And I always loved The Apprentice, so I was like, wait a second, that's a business show. It taught me business. My parents are working class people. They didn't understand entrepreneurship, so I was like, that's not really who he was. It's like a cool business show. I always make fun of Mark Cuban because he hates Trump so much. I was like, you made your whole show off of The Apprentice. Like the whole Shark Tank is like a wannabe. I'm like, how could you hate your father? Like Jesse says, you gotta get right at home first. It's like he's got daddy problems. It's like Trump Jr. The Trump Jr. that didn't get to be Don. Anyway. So I knew that wasn't right, and I'm just paying attention, and I was like, let's give him a shot. I was shocked for 10 seconds or so, and then I was like, all right, whatever. Didn't really matter to me. And then he just started executing, and Brandon was on Jesse's show recently, and he said, I kept asking people, he voted for Hillary, and he's like, I was mad why they voted for Trump. But he actually wanted to learn, so he learned. That's kind of how I am. I'm not that stubborn. And he just kept doing all this stuff and bringing awareness to things that I really never thought of. Even the wall, I was never like, he was like, build a wall. I was like, if you want. I was never like, no. And I'm like, why not? They're like, well, it's symbol. I was like, symbol everywhere. Like, it's racist. I was like, it's a wall, guys. It's not that crazy. Like, you've never seen a wall before? So I never really bought into that stuff. I was like, if he wants to build it. If not, whatever. And I guess a lot of you who watch the videos have followed the journey. I'm just like, all right, I can't just make this stuff up. I never really cared about being blacklisted. Like I said, I've already ruined my career 10 years ago. So just kept flowing with it. And he's brought up a lot of issues that people never have. I've learned a lot about border security, economics, how big of a scam taxes are, how awful healthcare is, and the individual mandate. And I just keep going further right. I was like, no taxes. I'm on my Ron Paul in that category. And I'm looking. Well, that's God. That's amazing. No, but yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I'll give it to Major or someone else. Thank you guys. Or that one. I didn't mean to pass it to her. What were you?
Say it again. Where we go?
All right.
One of y'all better.
I know, right?
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Major Williams. If I want to share my story, it would start probably like 3 years ago, honestly, in regards to me actually switching to the Republican Party. Kind of like some of the people in this particular film, just by default, of course, I had the whole ideology of being a Democrat just by default. My grandmother was a Democrat. My mother was a Democrat as well, too. And so I wasn't into politics, so naturally, when I was able to vote, I voted Democrat. My story actually starts probably 3 years ago. I own a marketing company, and my marketing company works with athletes, entertainment, different small businesses. And 3 years ago, I got the opportunity to start working with political campaigns, whether it be political campaigns and political candidates. And so that was a time when I actually was able to start learning the ins and outs of politics, so to speak, and understanding the policy and what some of the policies did to the communities and what it did to the city or what it did to the state or what it did to the nation. And I was looking at different options, and I was talking to a good friend of mine about politics, and he was my friend for like 7 years. His name is Cole Harris. He ran for lieutenant governor last year. And I was working on this campaign, and I didn't know that he was a Republican. I've been this guy's friend for like 7 years. We've traveled together, we've made money together, our families have birthday parties together, but we never discussed politics. And the beautiful thing about it is, once I found out he was a Republican, I was just like, wait a minute, this is a white guy, like super white. And I was like, oh, you're supposed to be this and like this and like this. Why aren't you like this and you're Republican? We had like a real good laugh about it, because that's the narrative that I was, told over and over again, whether it be from people from the church, whether it be from people that I came up with in college, whether it be from people that I just randomly knew in my neighborhood who happened to be Democrats or felt some kind of way about the Republican Party. And so for me, I just started doing more research, and by being by traveling all over California and being a part of politics, it gave me the access, because I was working with some of the top strategists in the country in regards to understanding policy. And once I was able to start wrapping my mind around some of the history of what was going on in the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party, honestly, it just comes down to common sense. Are you going to be logical? Does this make sense? Did this actually harm you? Did this actually hurt you? So fast forward, March 2018, I decided to run for mayor of Pasadena. Thank you. So, and one of the main reasons I did that, I'm not a career politician. I'm definitely not a career politician. And one of the biggest things that was coming out when people ask me the first things, people walk up and they feel real pretentious. And oftentimes it's like a lot of Democrats. And the first thing is like, so what is your platform, right? And I'm like, well, typically that would be a true politician that has it all figured out and has it all together. I didn't. This was something that was new to me. But I also did understand this, and this was my reply. I don't have a platform. My platform will only come from after I go out in the community and talk to the people and see what they want and see what's going on, what their issues are, what their concerns are, and what their frustrations are in the city. Only then should I be able to say that I actually have a platform. And that's not trying to be a great politician. That's just what you're supposed to be when you are in public service. I'm not out here trying to build my name ID or to do a money grab. I'm actually coming up with really great ideals, aligning with some really great people in order to do some really good for some people who actually need it for the first time in a very long time. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pasadena. Pasadena is a very affluent town. It's one of the most amazing cities in California, but there is a huge imbalance there that people are not talking about. And it's a lot of voices that are going unheard, and I am around and with them every single day. And it's my job and my duty, my mission, my goal is to change that narrative with someone that's new, with a fresh perspective, with ideals, that understands policy and government and understands people. And so, I'm doing it under the Republican flag. Even though it's a nonpartisan race, I'm still doing it under the Republican flag because I have gone a little viral these days. I have a couple of videos that's done a few things. And so they bring it up. And I'll close in this. So I give out my phone number, 626-623-3753. And I share it on social media all the time. And I get 72 to 100 text messages a day. And this is in Pasadena alone. And so probably like 12 times now, people have reached out to me. And if you got 5 people or more, I will come meet you at a cafe, a local park, or even at your house. And recently, 2 weeks ago, I was invited to this house, and I went by myself. I normally go with my guy here. It's my goon squad right here. And but I went by myself. This person, she had a really strong tone, and I can tell that she was a Democrat, and I can tell she was a little flustered in regards to the narrative that she had, the perception that she had of me. And so I went to this house. I thought it was gonna be like 6 or 7 people, whatever. I walk into the house, there's 60 black people. So mind you, me running around with Candace Owens and doing these Brexit rallies and stuff like that, they think I'm this black coon, I'm this sellout, I'm this Uncle Tom, and I've turned my back on the black community. And so when I walk in the house, it's a lot of hostility. And what I can tell you before I wrap up, before I left that house, it took me 3 hours to get out of there, first of all. But when I left that house, and this will tell you how, when it comes to being able to be a great messenger, which I kind of pride myself in. When I left the house, there was high fives, handshakes, and some tears. And I think that's very telling. And now I have 60 warriors who are going to tell 60 more warriors who were going to tell 60 more warriors, because the message was actually clear enough, and that's what the Republican Party was missing for so long. Even though they wanted to interject and be a part of it, they didn't have the right message, and in this case, the right messenger, and I happen to be the right messenger. Thank you.
Awesome. I guess they say they saved the best for last. So
Yeah.
I don't mind. First, I want to thank Brandon for everything that he does for this movement and giving us all this platform to be able to share these awesome stories and just our perspective on why we chose to walk away. Well, my story is a lot different from everyone else's. You know how they say a little different. I'll say my story is a lot different. But my name is Angela Stanton King. And my WalkAway moment came last year. And how it came about was that I was literally watching the whole world crying for children separated at the border. And when I saw that, it made me remember back in 2004 when I was in prison, handcuffed to a bed, giving birth to my daughter, with the sheriff standing there watching on a nonviolent crime. I got to stay with her for 24 hours. The whole 24 hours I was handcuffed to the bed, so I had to use one arm to try to, mother her. And then she was taken from me 24 hours later, and I was sent back to a prison. I'm an American citizen, and Trump wasn't president. So I said, wait a minute. I said, America has literally turned its back on its own people. I say, have we not thought about all of the family separation that goes on within our borders? Do people not understand that? Here's the thing, if you're driving on a suspended license and you got your kids in the back with you and they decide that they want to take you down to the station, your kid can't go to jail with you, okay? That's just the bottom line. So what I realized was that most Americans were fighting to change laws at the border and not fighting to change our laws in the border. And thank you so much, but it only made sense for me to jump on the fight, because if we change our laws for us, then quite naturally we change our laws for them. So anybody that steps foot on our soil, they'll be affected by the same laws that we're affected by. So I called my godmother, who's Alveda King. Some of you may have heard of her. She works very closely with the Trump administration. In fact, she's someone who saved my life when I was released from prison back in 2004 with a $25 check and a bus ticket and told to go start my life over after losing my mother and my grandmother to death during my incarceration. And so I called her and I just literally cried. I said, Mom, I said, what about our children? What about the millions of American families that have been separated? I said, if everybody feels as though the children at the border are traumatized from being separated from their parents, what about all of our children? What about our children in cages called juvenile detention centers across America? Hello, somebody, right? There is no difference. So I began to use my story, and I actually helped get the First Step Act passed. I work at the administration. Part of the First Step Act is that women can no longer be chained to a bed during childbirth. So not only is it that, people are coming home and being reunited with their families, because we can do some family reuniting right here, right in America. So I started my nonprofit organization, the American King Foundation, and we're all about reuniting American families. We focus on reuniting them with economic stability, relational wellness, anything that they need. We try to be a bridge for them to help them cross back over into becoming a productive member of society. I've been there. You let somebody out of prison and they don't have a job and they don't have resources and their family is deceased and they don't have anywhere to go, then what's gonna happen? They're gonna end up committing crimes and they're gonna go back in. So it's important for the community to come together. So I've been tremendously blessed ever since I decided to take this walk. We just got a partnership, and Isaiah sits on the board. We just got a partnership with Alaska where we'll be able to provide 4,000 jobs in the seafood industry for returning citizens. That starts at the end of May. God is absolutely moving. There are so many people coming home because of the First Step Act, and I started paying attention, and I'll be done in about 1 second, but I started paying attention to the Democratic policies, because just like everyone else on the panel says, you were just raised like that. You just did whatever everybody else did. And then I started thinking about the welfare system. Because when I got out of prison, I was a convicted felon. I couldn't get welfare. I couldn't get Section 8 because they were government-funded programs. So what did I have to do? I was a mother with 4 children. I had to bust my butt. Today, not only am I a national best-selling author, but I also have my own publishing company. I've published over 100 authors. But here's the thing. I would have never discovered my greatness had I not been denied that government assistance, because I would have been sitting somewhere collecting a check, being content, never pushing myself forward. So I said, wait a minute, these democratic policies, they really have our people stuck. And then I started thinking about Section 8 and how when they told a lot of women, we'll give you Section 8 and we'll give you these benefits, but the man can't live in the home. That was the beginning of family separation right here. What about, and I know I hate to make this a racial thing, but what about all of the black families that have been separated, right, in America? All of the men and women that are in prison right now and not home with their children, not raising their children. As of today, America is a fatherless nation. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching everybody get excited about Joe Biden running for president and not even understanding this is the man that wrote the law that Bernie Sanders signed, that Bill Clinton pushed through, that is responsible for mass incarceration. This is the very thing that we are fighting now. Black America, wake up. Let's get focused. For too long, we've been fighting on the wrong side of the wall. Get back over here, America. Let's make America great.
We love Angela.
I don't know if you're done.
Wait a minute.
Are you sure? Let's say the best for last.
I think I'm okay. I think I'm
Got my
okay.
leg over here shaking. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I had Angela on my panel in New York City in Harlem, and Angela, you said something which you kind of said again tonight. It struck me so much, and I've actually quoted you numerous times since we did that event just, 5-6 weeks ago. You said, if you hadn't been denied the government's assistance, you never would have stepped into your greatness. How amazing is that, and how powerful? And that's what it's all about. I mean, the Democratic Party policies are designed to keep people dependent and keep people away from their greatness. I think that's so brilliant and so powerful.
Reagan didn't bail anybody out. That's why I had to join the military. He didn't bail anybody out. I couldn't go to college. I had to join the military, and I'm glad I did. But he didn't bail anybody out. He said, "Fix it."
And I mean, I came from a family, poverty, right? They struggled a lot. And I got a lot of cousins my age that I look at. Is this me? I got a lot of cousins my age that I look at, they're still collecting welfare. We're 43 years old. They're still getting a check and don't know how to survive without it. And I just really thank God for my journey. And I think that if we cut back just a little bit, right? Because some people do need help. But are we giving them so much help that we're hindering them instead of helping them? And that's the issue with the Democratic Party.
So I'd love to hear from all of you too who have questions. I'm gonna make one little request because this has been kind of an issue when we've done these town halls in the past. If you can please try to keep your questions down to about 1 minute so we can hear from as many people as possible, because I think people get very excited about WalkAway. They've had a lot of feelings stored up for about 40 years, and they get up and they tell like a whole dissertation. So just so we can hear from as many people as possible, if you could please keep your questions down to about 1 minute. Yes, sir, right here in the front. And is anybody handling microphones? Awesome.
Okay, so this question is directed at Joy. So you mentioned that once because you've been independent with your career, you felt like you didn't have to answer to anybody. Once you had felt the confidence to finally to speak out against your support for Trump, you had mentioned that you were fearful of the backlash and being blacklisted and being in the entertainment industry and all. But once you had made it, so to speak, that you were able to cast that fear aside. What would you suggest to those that are fear of losing their jobs, that don't have that kind of security, they're not independent on their own, they fear they could lose everything. What would you suggest to people who want to speak up, who want to show their support for our president? What would you suggest to them?
I love that question. I get it a lot online. Thank you for that. And I get a lot online, a lot in person. So I started doing music professionally in 2011, but I was very independent and I always wrote songs. I always did things on my own, grew up in theater, and then I went into it professionally in 2011 and started touring in 2014. I did my first EP and started independently pushing that. And it wasn't until I got political that I started saying, like you're saying, oh no, I mean, I could actually be destroying my career before it starts. So I was still in the beginning throes, even though I was making a living, I was working with my art. And afterwards, when I just said, I don't care, I have to be myself because I've been pushed aside and pushed down, and now I'm going against my own personal ethics by not saying something, and I'm very bold, and that's my branding. Even before it became political, that's always been my branding. So I said, I'm going against my own self, my own personal ethics. We know what happens when we go against our own ethics. We start destroying ourselves. And I didn't want to go backwards. I wanted to move forward, come hell or high water. And when the president got elected, that's when I said I have to say something. Because here he is, a sitting president. It's no longer an election. He's a sitting president. We're supposed to respect our president, respect this country, and it's even worse. And that's when I got angry. And I got so angry that I didn't care what would happen to me. And what happened after is I hit #1 on the charts. I hit #1 on Billboard in alternative, #1 on Billboard in rock, #12 top hot 200 albums. I outsold Beyonce, Adele, Lady Gaga, and Rihanna that week, independently. So my best advice, I give 2 things, is 1, always follow your heart. Always follow what you know is best, what you know is the right thing to do for yourself. I can't tell you what that is. I tell people, I don't want you losing jobs. I don't want you to lose your job. I don't want you to you're like, hey, you have to feed your kids and you have to go to work. Don't, weigh the pros and cons of this. But that doesn't mean you should be totally silent. When you're at work, you can still, when someone goes, Trump's America, my Uber drivers go, traffic, it's Trump's America. I'm like, here we go. I just go, and they usually don't recognize me, right? I'm like, actually, I think he's not doing such a bad job. And they go, what? Huh? And they what? And I go, yeah, I mean, look at unemployment's down, black unemployment's down, my cousins have jobs, they used to be on welfare. I share personal stories, just like what we're doing here, just like all these panelists are doing, just like that movie did. So keep it personal, and you choose if you want to go full Joy Villa, full Brandon Straka, full Isaiah Washington, full Angela King, full everybody here, or just make it your own. But don't stay silent. Don't be afraid. That would be my best advice.
Thank you. Hi. I'll stand up. I guess this question's for Brandon, since you're running this whole thing. And actually, Jesse, I was at one of your sessions like a month ago when you do your monthly meetups or whatever, and I asked a similar question to you, and I kind of want to direct it to Brandon since this is your organization. One of the things that personally turned me off from the left side is that all their kind of groups and all their kind of movements, they kind of go from 0 to 60 real fast in the wrong direction. You can take anything from something like the Southern Poverty Law Center that really started out maybe with genuine intentions is now I don't even know what that is. So my question to you is, what sort of checks and balances are you keeping in mind to make sure that maybe this, not, I guess specifically your movement, maybe doesn't get too far or at least stays true to what its foundation is?
Thank you for that question. And it's a good one. You're going to make me kind of take my own inventory right here on the fly. I have to think that through. You're absolutely right. I think the Democrats and the liberals, they sort of weaponize everything, even the things that started off with good intentions. The LGBT movement has been completely weaponized by the liberals. You're right, the Southern Poverty Law Center. So a few steps that I took initially when I started this campaign, a lot of people made fun of me and still make fun of me for trademarking the hashtag. And they try to say that that's a sign of, I don't know, vanity or anything that they can do to kind of demonize me based off of that. The reason I made the decision to trademark the hashtag early on was because I saw what an epic and colossal shit show Black Lives Matter became, and a number of other movements that started off probably with very good intentions and were co-opted by people who wanted to step in, use that name, and say, no, my intentions, no, my will, no, my will. And you've got 100 different people with 100 different agendas and 100 different wills grabbing onto a popular name and saying, mine, 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 mine. Trademarking the hashtag has allowed me to go after people and say, you cannot throw an event and call it a hashtag WalkAway event and go around screaming Heil Hitler or, let's kill all the blacks or whatever. That cannot happen. You will be prosecuted if you do that. In order to, yeah, thank you. Yeah. CNN is.
Just that will be on CNN tonight.
Heil Hitler. I love you. No, but I think that's probably the strong.
And you're sitting next to me.
Right.
So
Get all the blacks out of here.
So it's
Yeah, right.
definitely going to be on loop before we even get home.
So that was one of the steps that I took, and and then we try. Honestly, what I've tried to do is allow people as much freedom as possible within this movement to express themselves the way that they want to. I'll repeat again. You do not have to become a Republican. You do not have to be. You can become an independent, a libertarian. You can be apolitical if you want to. There's really only a core value system that we all agree with in the WalkAway campaign, which is that we want to live in a country where we can have open and civil dialogue and debate and discussion, and that we can treat each other with respect and unity and kindness. And that, agree to disagree, and if you are a minority, if you happen to have black skin or brown skin, or if you're an LGBT person, you have a choice. You do not have to be a Democrat. That's it.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank you guys for this wonderful presentation. It was phenomenal, and you did a great job. And I just want to say that I'm Big Joe, for those who probably don't know. I'm the one with the viral video where I was at the Women's March and the Black Trump supporter. That's me. I just want to say, I believe that one of the reasons why this Trump is considered volatile, which he's not. What's happened is he's been touching on subjects that has been hot potato issues for a long time, and they've been pushing it away. Nobody wanted to touch it. No one had the guts to address these issues. And Trump finally brought this front and center and said, I'm going to be bold enough to address issues. And that's what he started doing. And for all these years where we had Democrats in power, 8 years of Obama's nonsense, what happened was they were festering a culture of political correctness and stifling people and shaming you that you couldn't express yourself. And like you, Joy, I spoke my mind, and God blessed me with viral, super viral, sensation. So when you do step out and you speak your truth, you know what happens? God will bless you, and you will have so many supporters that will come out of the woodwork that supported you secretly, but they didn't have enough balls to be able to come out and do what you did. But when you do it and you step out, everyone else will start coming out and supporting you. And this is what we need to do now. We need to step out like we're doing, and we need to promote this and continue to support these things and tell friends and families and everyone. And when we do that, what happens is they're gonna look at how bold you are to support someone who's not popular and everything, and they're gonna be like, wow, this is something. And they're gonna want to start listening to your logic. And when you start making sense and they start seeing, like you said something so powerful. How in the world we're worried about people who are not even under our Constitution, and we're worried about their rights, and yet we have American citizens and we're doing nothing for them? Phenomenal. I just say that. Thank you.
Well, I just want to make a really quick comment on that, very fast. Absolutely true, and Joy made a really good point. Not everyone can be as bold right now as they want to be. We understand that some people, this will cost them employment opportunities, things like, I totally get that. But if you are in a position to be able to speak up and speak your truth, do it. Listen, I found out firsthand there is a whole nation full of people who are waiting for someone to speak up, and they will back you up and they will support you. You know, and even doing events like this being our second Black Americans Town Hall, I would have loved to have seen every seat in this theater filled. I would have loved it. But you know what? The audience is coming out. You're coming out and you're showing people not to be afraid. The next one, more people will come out. The next one, more people will come out. We're going to build a movement with these town halls. Thank you for being brave. Even just showing up is the first step.
All the black people were sent away. I thought that's what you said.
They what?
All the black people, what you said, the people that got sent away, were they all black?
Stop giving CNN sound bites.
So much today.
Hi, thank you guys for being here. I just wanted to ask you, this will maybe help everyone else, how can we support #WalkAway? What events are coming up that you can tell us about that we can keep an eye on?
I will answer that, and then I really want to hear from the rest of the panel for most of the rest of the night, because these guys came out and we have brilliant people on this panel. So, well, we're going to continue to do more town halls across the country and grow the town halls that we are doing. Right now, currently, we're doing the Black Americans Town Hall, which is where we show this movie, renting out theaters, doing exactly what we did tonight. Tomorrow night, we're doing the LGBT Town Hall, which, yes, and we're doing it in West Hollywood, exactly. And we're going to, in time, continue to do more town halls, which are kind of targeting different groups. So we want to do with them for the Jewish community. We're rolling out WalkAway Espanol for Spanish-speaking Americans. You know, there are a lot of people who come into this country, even people who come into this country legally, and for whom English is their second language. Their English skills are not that great yet. And guess what? The Democrats go and they talk to them in Spanish and say, vote Democrat. And the Republicans are not talking to them. So we're rolling out WalkAway Espanol so that we can communicate with a whole group of people in this country who are only getting one message from one political party. Now, we can only do what we can do with the funding that we have. We don't yet have any millionaire donors or billionaire donors who have stepped in to fund WalkAway. These events cost us about $15,000 every time we do a town hall. And we put them up based off of donations from people, hardworking Americans who give us $20, $30, $50. Every time we make enough money, no one in WalkAway gets paid. I don't get paid from the WalkAway campaign. You know, so we take the money that we have, and when we have enough, we throw up an event. And if people support us, we'll do more events and more events and more events across the country. The next thing that we have coming up is the WalkAway Anniversary Party, which is a fundraiser in Washington, D.C. It's our 1-year anniversary on May 18th. We're doing the event at Trump International Hotel. We're throwing a weekend-long event. Friday night, we're doing a screening of our movie in Washington, D.C., and we'll be having a discussion afterwards, just like tonight. We're doing our party, a Roaring 20s party at Trump International the next day, and then we're doing a rally at the White House, a WalkAway rally. And we, show up. Come to DC. If you're thinking about taking a vacation this year, make that your vacation. Support the WalkAway campaign. If you'd like to donate or get involved in any way, go to walkawaycampaign.com. Your donations translate into events, which translates into people getting a message that they're not getting otherwise, which is it's time to walk away.
That's right.
Thank you.
This question is for Joy. Hey, Joy. I'll preface the following by mentioning that I'm a native New Yorker, which is a very...
New York in the house.
New Yorker, yes. Which is a very democratic town.
Yes.
Not the state, the city, and the county, for that matter. And I'm a Jew, and I know what it's like to have been fired from multiple corporations, either for reasons I could control or could not. And I think a lot of it stems from my family. With that in mind, I'm thinking about walking away myself because I try to vote my pocketbook.
Woo! Steve, full disclosure, I know this guy. This is awesome.
With that in mind, when you told your family, especially if you're part of me, the black side of your family, that you were walking away, how did they react to that?
It's a great question. They found out the way the rest of the world found out when I wore a Trump dress at the Grammys. What? Yeah. No joke. Okay, so my brother, now my parents passed away. Now my dad would have been very proud of me because he was Republican. He wanted to abolish the IRS. He was super hardcore Republican. Actually, everything I know now, I learned from my dad when I was a kid, actually. And I was like, wait, I was 11. He said the same thing. So he was incredibly intelligent. Preacher, Pastor Joseph Villa, my best friend. So he taught me these conservative values that I then went back to. So I would say, when I came out as conservative, and now I'm a registered Republican, by the way, proudly, I lost a lot of friends. And I did lose family friends, close friends. My cousins now are totally at peace with it because they know this is me, this is Joy. And they know they can't control me. I'm a wild one. So I've always been that way. So my cousins, I have a young cousin who, she is thinking about walking away. She's pro-life. I talked to her about being a conservative, and she's totally into it. I have another older cousin who's not, who doesn't like Trump. So you're gonna get a mixed bag. You have to talk to your family in a way that would be real to them. Saying Hillary sucks to your grandma who loves Hillary, that's not gonna work, like libtard, like you can't do that. Thanksgiving's gonna come up. So you have to, you have to maintain peace within your family, peace within your home. And I'm a big proponent of that. I say to my fans and friends, I'm like, you don't even have to agree with me. Be bold in whatever you choose, but be outspoken, be bold. You'll respect my opinion, I'll respect yours. So just say, hey, I gotta tell you something. I don't wanna vote Democrat anymore. And just start the dialogue. Start off slow and easy, and when the yelling starts, just change the subject.
I would like to get involved in a campaign to put billboards all over LA. Black billboards that say nothing but #WalkAway. What do you think of my idea?
I love it. Please do. Don't send me a bill, but please do it. That would be great.
I think LA needs it. I think California needs it more so than any place in the country.
Totally agree. I think it's powerful to just use the hashtag, or we could also come up with messaging to go along with it, like statistics and things like we do when we do our town halls that talk about the results of Democratic Party policies, what these policies have actually done to communities in America. I love it, and please talk to Melissa about this. I would love to do that.
This is mainly for all of you, but Anomaly and Joy, who I know, wonderful. What's the line you draw, like once you were like, hey, I want to vote Republican, or let's give the president a chance? What's the line you draw when friends come at you like, well, watch this video, and Antifa's wonderful, and all that? I'm exaggerating. But what's sort of the line you draw, like, okay, you know what, that's a little too far. Let's sort of distance ourselves from that person. Thank you.
Once they start annoying me, I just block the number. Some of my buddies, I had great times with in Hawaii. They're progressive Bernie supporters, and it's fine. We debate, we talk about climate change, we do the whole thing. But when we're like in person, it's fine. But they're a little too texty. They're always arguing with the same 3 family members that they're trying to start a business with. I love these guys, but I'm like, guys, is a 200 comment thread with the same 3 family members for a year? I'm like, you got to get out of this thing. It doesn't make sense. So they're a little rude, and if it's normal and it's chill, that's fine. But once it gets annoying, I got to go with the block. Hopefully that helps.
I want everybody. Can everybody answer this? Like a rapid fire, round table, rapid fire? It's how do you deal with people when they get too testy, right?
Like, what's the line?
What's the limit? I'll say really quickly, if they're straight up bashing me, you've already lost the debate. If you're like, you're ugly, you're fat, I hate your mouth, I don't know, whatever. I'm like, okay, you already lost. You don't want to have a civil conversation. So I don't block my friends, but I just say, let's talk about something else.
I do block my friends. You gotta calm down.
I pretty much keep it to the point where if it's civil, if it goes beyond that, I kind of have a good mechanism for ignoring it. So when you come from athletics, and you come from entertainment or whatever, you just you develop a thicker skin for certain things. And yeah, I just if it's not civil, I don't even pay any attention. I blocked 2 people, and he started following him and telling him really nasty things about me. But yeah, I don't block it. For the most part, it's been pretty good.
My man's got his phone number public. I mean, you gotta have patience for that. It's crazy.
Oh, I don't have many friends.
You do now.
My family are my friends, and I'm too busy to make new friends. And my friends that I have been my friends for 40 years. So they just love me unconditionally. I am mourning one friend that I was surprised when he, a close family friend for about 20 years. He just lost it when my wife and I, not that we were coming out walking away, we didn't want to participate in the recent Democratic elections. He wanted us to vote for Maxine Waters. And, nothing against Auntie Maxine, but I wasn't going to vote for her. Good luck to Omar Navarro. I hope he get it. But, so yeah, I'm kind of still in mourning with that one guy because he's been around for about actually 23 years.
Wow.
And we haven't heard from him since. But maybe he'll come back around or maybe not. But probably not, because since I've been in the news, I've been on Fox, he probably is never gonna come back. So I just go into mourning, and it's like anything, like a scab falling off, it'll heal, and you just keep it pushing.
So the question is, how do you deal with people when they become that way, or friends?
Mainly friends and family.
What I've learned is that 30 years ago, I was able to overcome anger. And when you overcome anger, you overcome mind control and emotions and things like that. And so I'm just straight up honest with people, and if they don't like it, I understand it. I don't take it personally. And then if they start to curse or be violent, I have to let them go. But I allow people to go through what they have to go through and hope that they can see for themselves that they're wrong or right. But the best way to deal with them is to overcome anger, so you're not personally affected by what someone else thinks or what they do. That's the best way to deal with it.
I'm kind of just unapologetic. I really don't care how you feel. I'm going to say what I say. I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to stand for what's right. You're either going to love me or leave me alone. I mean, I've always been taught, you stand for something or you fall for anything. So I like to consider myself to be a real justice advocate. What I stand for and what I believe in, I'm not wavering. And I mean, if you love me, then you understand that I'm passionate about my cause. And if you don't, oh well.
Yeah, these guys. Wow.
Jesse, I'm over here. I'm going to do a quick question for you, and then I'm going to pass the mic down to you.
Oh, okay.
So, you said about 30 years now you've not been Democrat, and my curiosity for you is, have you noticed a trend that's getting more bitter from the left when people don't agree with them, or what are you seeing?
Absolutely, the left have become very violent and intolerant, and yeah, they don't respect you. They call you names, but then I understand that too, because of knowing that it's a battle between good and evil, right versus wrong. And so the left are doing what they're supposed to do. They are supposed to intimidate and call names to try to control you. And if you don't give into that intimidation, they have no power, because their house is built on sand. And that's why I encourage people to have perfect love. Your house is built on a solid foundation. So when they come after you, you'll speak up. You'll speak your mind. You won't agree if they're wrong, but you won't take it personal, and they will fade away and you'll last forever. So just overcome that anger so you can deal with it.
Legends. Legendary.
So it's a question for everybody on the panel.
I actually am a mom at a school with 4 children, and it's incredibly sad. It's a religious school in LA, and I collected a bunch of parents who were closeted conservatives. We're having our own Me Too movement. When you do get open, people come up to you. And so my question for all of you is, what's the most surprising or shocking or touching example of someone who said, oh my God, because you guys are all speaking for so many people who can't. So what's your most, the most indelible one you can think of where someone said, me too?
Actually, I'm really big on social media. So if any of you are in here on social media, you're on Instagram, feel free to follow me, the Angela Stanton. So I use my platform. I've been blessed to do a reality show and get some fame in the secular world. So I use my platform to teach and to help people walk away. So I do get surprised, because I get cussed out a lot if anybody follows my page, but then I also get a lot of DMs like, oh my God, thank you for being a voice. Oh, you giving me so much strength. Oh, I've decided to walk away. I'm glad you stood up. So I get that at least every day. So people are getting it. But I would want to ask I know I can't ask the audience, but I'm trying to figure out, why is everybody so scared to stand up for what they believe in? But here's the thing, this is where I'm at, and I'm gonna pass the mic. This is where I'm at. They have no problem telling you what they believe in and how they feel and what they want to fight for. I think that people need to understand that we live in a country where freedom of speech is protected. If you come out and you're supporting a president and they fire you, guess what? You can sue them. Why is everybody so afraid to stand on what they believe? And this is why we look so weak, because everybody wants to be quiet, right? But I'm fine as long as when it's election time, you go down there and vote. Make sure you vote, but stand with us. Like, stand on your beliefs, because silence is a killer. Because your kids will grow up thinking you was a Democrat. And if not, they'll think that you're scared to stand for what you believe in or fight, and they're watching. So we can't change the next generation or change the future of our country on fear. We can't.
The most surprising thing to me is that over the last 29 years, we've been talking about speaking up and not being afraid, and open up and speak what you believe in. Don't be afraid. And so we're starting to see around the world. On my radio show, I literally get calls from around the world, from Mommy Africa, from Canada, Russia, all over the UK, and around this country, where men and women are starting to speak up. And I'm seeing now, even at our church Sunday morning meetings, it's packed with young millennials and Zs waking up and speaking up, because they spoke up. They are now starting to change. They're getting over that fear of speaking up. And whereas before they were afraid to say what they believed in or what they thought for fear of retaliation. And they're learning, just as she said, tell me your name again, I'm sorry. Angela said, I'm bad on name, that they are learning to fight back. If they fire you unjustly, first of all, you shouldn't be dealing with politics at work anyway. They don't hire you to come talk about politics, right? They hire you to work. But let's say that you get in a discussion, they fire you unfairly, you can fight back. There are laws to protect you on the job too, just as it is them. So they're learning to fight back and to speak up. And I'm seeing tons of men and women who are millennials of all races that are starting to speak up around the world, really. And I'm surprised by that, but yeah, happy about it.
I think, is this on? I think a lot of people, at least from what I've been seeing over the last 30 years, it's a theory, I'm convinced there are a lot of Dixiecrats that are in the Republican Party that are racist, that are bigoted, that are prejudiced, that are misogynistic, that are not fair, and are elitist. And I believe they're communicating with the same Dixiecrats that are in the Democratic Party, that are racist, are prejudiced, are bigoted, are about power, only for themselves. And where I'm looking in terms of walking away, getting more evidence from President Trump to see exactly what he's doing for black people and poor people, disenfranchised people that are not of color. Once I get that evidence, I can put it up on Twitter so people can see. There are a lot of people now, particularly African Americans that are following me, they're confused. How can Mr. Love Jones do this to us? How can Mr. True Crime do this to us? How can Mr. Spike Lee movies do this to us? We're confused. Where do we go? Because we've been told the Republicans are going to kill us. They're going to lynch us, just like the movie says.
Right.
Okay? So I am very clear on where we're headed because I'm very clear on this man named Frederick Douglass.
Yes.
Always have been and always will be. And he definitely suffered more than any of us in this room could ever imagine. And he stood one of the founding members of the Grand Old Party. So if you look at my tweets, I've been leading a lot of the millennials in that direction without telling them what to do and how to do it. Those of us or those of you who have been Republicans, you've already had that callus, you've already had that strength. But a lot of people don't have that strength. They want it, but they need more evidence. And I think that's something that I can't wait to do, to be in Alaska, to be working on that seafood boat, to actually be there and make sure that the Anchorage Police Department that I have a relationship with is protecting the people that get there. So they're not isolated, they don't feel like they're alone. I'm gonna be there. So when we get there, I'm gonna be there. We're gonna be there.
Yes.
So I'm gonna tweet about it. I don't need CNN, I don't need Fox News, I'm gonna be there.
That's right.
And we're gonna be there, and some people are gonna be there, and we're gonna be armed. That's the Second Amendment right. So that's what I'm doing. You can check me out on Guns Matter Incorporated. That's a company I've started. That's gonna be a more holistic approach. So if you don't really feel good about the NRA, you can come and rock with me.
That's right.
But we have to understand that we've been dealing with a violent nation. It was built on violence, hypocrisy, and ugliness. And just because we have cell phones and we think we're seeing more of it, doesn't mean it's going to change. That DNA is still real. So don't think for 1 minute that the Republican Party has a DNA that's just going to be Black Power, LGBT. No, there will be resistance, and serious resistance. And I feel that there are members in the Republican Party that are communicating with certain members in the Democratic Party that's going to keep this confusion going. And that's just me. So until we really come in en masse with the GOP or the new GOP or get back to the roots of the GOP to flush them out, then we're not going to see the change that we sit there and want to walk away and talk about.
I agree with a lot of that. I just call those people the never Trumpers. That's what I say. It's time to go. To answer your question, I think the most surprising thing that I have found, it's very simplistic, but it's that I have been so warmly embraced and supported as a gay person on the right. And I think the best part about that, in the message tomorrow we have the LGBT town hall, and I think the number one message that I would like to convey to LGBT people or any marginalized minority group in America, or people that are told that they're marginalized at the very least, it's a wonderful feeling to walk across that line and find out that all the others that you've been told about for so long that you're afraid of, you don't have to be afraid. I feel so free knowing that I have a choice because I don't have to stay on one side out of fear. I'm not afraid anymore. I know I'm loved on the right, and I'm not quite as loved on the left as I used to be. But you know what I mean? I no longer fear the Republican Party. I no longer fear conservatives, and that is the most wonderful thing that could happen to a person, I think.
I love this question. I love all these answers. My story's a little unique. Like Angela said, I can definitely see what she's saying. It's like, why is everybody afraid, you know? And I love what Isaiah said too, is like, there is a lot of resistance out there. For me, I get a ton of messages because I'm very vocal and very outspoken. You know, I've worked with the administration, I have helped campaign, I've been on the campaign advisory board, I have, you know, been to the White House, I have been with Ivanka, I've seen this family, and I've done a lot of, as much work as I could. I also advocated for the First Step Act, not as much as these incredible beings, but I did what I could do as well. And every time I step out, every time I tweet, I do get death threats. Like, the reality is, people are always surprised. I'm like, really, you're surprised about that? You know, I mean, I think it's just a reality because I've chosen to be on the forefront. but the freedom I feel is unreal. Like I would never go back to being closeted anything, right? I mean, you're never free if you're holding yourself back. You're never free. And the truth is, nobody really holds us back except for ourselves. And that's what the victim culture teaches us, is that it's the opposite, is that everybody else, they, them, those. Well, who are those, them, and they? That's a generality. It's us. We take responsibility for our own lives, for our own actions, and the products that we create and the effects that we create. So in 2017, that's really what I did. And I didn't really think too much about it. I wasn't like, I'm gonna be a revolutionary. I was just like, this feels right. This is real. This is true. This is truth. And I'm having so much fun being outspoken. So even though I get called the worst racial slurs. I mean, I get called the N-word all the time by white liberals, by Latino liberals, people saying they're gonna hunt me down. They know what I look like. I don't know what they look like. Death threats against my family. I mean, it's really sick and twisted. But that's just online. I really don't care about that. What I love is the people that come up to me, the kids that come up and say, I'm 15 years old, I'm in high school, I love Trump, and I can't speak out about it. But when I see you in your pro-life dress or your Trump dress, or I see your music, hit #1, I bought your music, you're telling me I'm beautiful and I should love myself and to make America great again, and positivity, that gives me hope. I say, well, wow, thank you. And I get 100 more messages like that, and it makes everything worth it. It makes everything worthwhile, because when your voice is being heard, and you should really try it. You should really try it, because it's the most free thing. Even if it's just getting a group of conservatives in your school, even if it's just, being a parent and sharing it with your friends, or your kids, or your family, that's being bold, that's being outspoken. And all of you have the power to do that. The most surprising thing I get, though, is from young LGBT. There's a lot of young LGBT kids out there who are conservatives and want to walk away, and they get lambasted so much. LGBT kids of color, they have it the worst, because that's the BuzzFeed generation. Telling them they have to be a victim and they have to be calling themselves Zer, or they're not cool anymore. I mean, thank God I'm a millennial and not a Generation Z. So what you do today, though, affects your future, affects everyone's future. So speak up. Speak up in your own way, even if it's going online, even if it's attending here, even if it's donating. How much money do we need to raise for those billboards? $20,000. I mean, you guys can do that. It's cool. So that's really my 2 cents. And I'm constantly surprised the people who say, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you. And it's so beautiful. And I'm thankful to be here.
And I have a Venmo in 2 hands as well, so if you guys want to give me money on the way out, I'm available. The question was the most interesting, me too. I just want to say something real quick, and I'll be quick. Jesse was mentioning before about knowing yourself and being honest with yourself, getting rid of fear and anger. And I think the conservatives and Republicans lack the approach a lot, and definitely the media is a lie. But I live in Los Angeles. I talk to liberals all the time. I almost never have problems in person. Everyone's really cool, but it's because I'm not just screaming in their face, build a wall. Like, no, they don't want to hear that. So it's like, ease in on it and then just try to be simple. And I want to say, too, if anyone's Christian or Catholic here, my friend Mike Servin, I don't know if you've seen him, he says, Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ. He's going huge online now, but he's taking the word of God, and a lot of people have made it boring and sometimes too preachy. He's made it really fun, and I think it's getting through to the younger generation. So don't be discouraged by what isn't. Just try to be good energy and connect with the people who don't understand you rather than just speak to the people who do. On that note, the most surprising Me Too people, I'm not going to say which one, I'm not trying to get them in trouble, but one of the big late night annoying talk show hosts that makes a Donald Trump in Russia, ha ha ha. It's like day 365. Someone in there said, I'm progressive and my dad plays with the band, and we saw your video and I loved it, and I showed him, I think I'm Republican, and he watched it and he was just like, it was my why I support Donald Trump video. And he was like, yeah, I agree with it. There's nothing really there to disagree with. So, he's side by side with one of the late night hosts, and they're pretty much red-pilled. Band members from like big rock bands, thank you. reach out to me. And normally, like, I'm 29, I'm sitting on my couch. He's like, how do I get the press and people? I said anyone can wear hats to the show, and everyone freaked out, like rock bands I used to listen to in high school. And then someone else, an executive producer at one of the big news shows, and not Fox, one of the other ones, is actually, a good person and has a soul. It's a start. So, yeah, those are the three. Wow.
So with me being kind of new to politics, I really haven't had a whole lot of interaction early on with a lot of family members and friends. A lot of my interaction came from a lot of my family members from high school back in Dallas. And so what I would like to do real quick, because I've had a lot of momentum here over the last year in regards to people feeling like the audacity of me to run for mayor of Pasadena. What are my qualifications? What is my education? And what gives me the right to do that? And so what I'm about to play for you guys right now actually gave not only me a lot of confidence, but it actually made so many other people within my family rally behind me. Typically, from being good at stuff, my family always rally behind me. So when I play basketball, I'm good. So they're gonna rally behind me. When I get into entertainment, they're gonna rally behind me because I was good at it. When I got into politics, they didn't understand it. But because I am who I am, typically I'm gonna do a good job at it, they supported me. But let me play this message for you guys real quick, and then I'll tell you guys what happened right after.
It would be nice as a black man that you guys would quit running around being a black embarrassment. Okay, now you already are looking like a black embarrassment. What are you looking down for? What are you looking at? Why are you obsessed with your shoes and social media and the way you look? What are your education qualifications? What makes you think that you have a right to be the mayor? You're just another black embarrassment, brother. And I wish that you would go and raise your family and take care of your wife and children if you have some, and if you don't, go get some. And just give it a break. We've already had one black embarrassment in that Jason Harden smush-faced punk, okay, that got 75 whole votes. And now here you come running in behind him, embarrassing the black community again in Pasadena.
Oh my God. Wow.
All right, so as I stated, I do give my phone number out. It's very untraditional. And it's a little creative, but what it has allowed me to do is connect expeditiously with the locals in Pasadena. Given the fact that I'm a new candidate, a new politician, it gives me the opportunity to truly connect with the people who really care about the city. So understand this guy on his phone, he is a minority. He doesn't represent the majority of Pasadena. And so what happened was, being a marketing guy, I took a negative and I turned it into a positive. What you just heard right now is actually on my Instagram. Once I posted this video, I probably raised like $2,000 just that day from my family, who had never, haven't given me $1 on my campaign thus far. And just in one day from them hearing that, they said, no, we're not gonna tolerate anyone treating you that way. And from now on, you're gonna have our support. And so beyond that, the surprise was, I've been to Washington a few times. I got invited to the White House. I also lobbied for the First Step Act bill in Washington, D.C. also, so I was proud of that moment. But I had dinner at the White House as well, too, met with the president and Vice President Pence. So when I came home, my son was running around ranting. I thought I heard something, but I didn't quite hear. My son is 8 years old. His name is Carlo. He is now an avid Trump supporter. And so that was to my surprise because we never talked about it. So he runs around, go Trump, go Trump, go Trump, Trump, Trump. I don't know where he got the beat from, but that's my surprise.
On that note, the I Like Trump rap song, the edited version for the kids is out, so I don't know how late you're trying to get them. I don't wanna infringe on the fatherhood, but it might work.
Good question.
I guess I'll stand up. First of all, thank you guys for doing this. I think we need to do this. The Democrats get together. They're so good at it. They get together. They rally. They have George Soros behind them, funding them, and he's doing terrible things. He's funding Antifa and he's funding Black Lives Matter. He's making them meet and then fight, and then the media goes and covers it, and we all buy it. Well, we don't, but most of the people that watch CNN buy it, and they think, oh, that America is full of hate, when it's not. It's all a big facade. With that said, I came from an S-hole country when I was 15 years old. I'm a proud American citizen now. I graduated from Pasadena High School, and there I learned that the indoctrination begins in the schools. I was told by my counselor that there was one semester that I couldn't get a 4.0 GPA, and I was worried about it because I really wanted to get into a good college. And the answer that she gave me was, don't worry, sweetie, all you have to do is check that box that says that you're a Latina, and you will get into any university. And that truly shocked me, because I had been working so hard to learn the language and to succeed and just to fit in and become an American citizen. And her answer was to check the box that says you're a Latina. Now, moving forward, I get into UC Berkeley, UC Santa Barbara, UC Riverside. I end up going to UC Santa Barbara, and there I get approached by La Raza, Latinos, I don't know, or they have all these different groups, and it's all about dividing. And it starts in the schools, it continues in the colleges, and this is why we have so much madness in California, because kids are coming out of there being brainwashed for years and years and years and being told you have to think this way. So can we take this to the schools? We need to reach those kids and show them the other side of truth, because what they've been told are lies, and they buy it because we trust the adults that are teaching us. So thank you, and can we do that?
Very quickly, I can say I did my very first college campus speaking engagement the Tuesday before last at Trinity College, which is Tucker Carlson's alma mater. I'm going to be really fast. It was an amazing experience. When it began, all of the white students were on one side of the room. They were the Republicans. All the black and Hispanic students were on the other side of the room. They were the ones who showed up because they were angry that I was coming to the college to speak. When the event was over, Melissa, my assistant, came to me and said, would you please go talk to them? They want to talk to you, because the black and Hispanic students, I mean, it was truly segregated. And they were standing off to the back of the room. I went and I approached them. This was after the event was over. We had about a 25-30 minute debate on multiple issues that are happening. And then slowly, as we were having this debate, all of the white students who had been off on one side of the room came and they kind of sat around. And slowly, we all started talking to each other. And I'm telling you, it was like the movie West Side Story. I mean, it was like, all of a sudden, like the two groups of people started talking to each other for the first time, and they were saying, you know, we go to the same school, we sleep in the same dorm, we eat in the same cafeteria, but we do not know you. And the black and Hispanic students were telling the white students, you know, you said this and you did this, and it really hurt us. And the white students were saying, we did not understand that you felt that way. If we had known that you felt that way, we never would have said that. And for the first time, it was like these two groups saw each other's humanity. And I'm not saying that like now they're all engaged and gonna get married later this year, but I'm telling you, they will never be able to see each other on campus again and not see the humanity in one another and at least say, hey, how you doing today? And that in itself is progress. I agree with you. We need to be getting into high schools and the college campuses.
Okay, so we only have time for a couple more questions, but my question for you is there anybody here who has not yet walked away and is not Republican who has a question?
That's a great question.
Okay, so I'm sure all of you can relate to this, and quite a few of us in the audience as well. Free speech is really under attack in this country, and I think, especially coming from a previously pigeonholed group, that just became uglier and definitely clearer in early 2017. And what really disgusts me is seeing people who are brave enough to speak up just being increasingly deplatformed. It's like the measures are just getting even more violent. It's more than just being threatened and attacked by Antifa and these other groups. So, I mean, I've got to applaud you for your courage here, and I'm just wondering, how can the rest of us wade through this when our First Amendment is now under full-blown attack? Now that we dare to speak up and say, hey, we can think for ourselves, we can form our own opinions.
Well, great question. I think the answer's been throughout this
I'm
panel.
not gonna say that. It's very controversial. I'm not gonna say that.
You say
No,
it.
I'm not gonna say it.
Isaiah. Someone give him a mouth. Isaiah.
They want to hear some real talk.
Real talk.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's okay.
I'll say this.
Speak up.
I will say this.
Speak up.
Speak up.
The First Amendment is backed up by the Second Amendment.
Draw your own conclusion.
And a lot of liberals hire guns, but a lot of conservatives know how to use their guns.
See, I knew you had the words.
That was good.
I don't know.
That was kind of a mic drop right there. I mean, I could say is that the answer is really in this panel. What we've been saying all along too is you're gonna have to find your voice for yourself and find it and just stay strong and don't waver. You can't waver because at the end of the day, I can say you can do whatever it takes to be popular. You can try to go along with the tide, be a liberal, hashtag this and that, and you're gonna feel dead inside. And if inside you know it's wrong, you know you're leaning towards conservative values, you want free speech, you want to walk away, but all your friends are going to ostracize you, guess what? You're ostracizing yourself. So you don't even I don't even think you have to say, hey, I walked away and do all this stuff, but speak up when you have the opportunity. And when you see something, say something. When you say, no, this is unfair, this is wrong. Even if it's against a liberal, by the way. If free speech is being infringed upon, even if you don't agree with it, it is free speech being infringed upon. I will stand up for someone who's a liberal, who maybe hates me, who voted for Hillary, who doesn't like me, whatever. I'll say, yeah, but you have the right to say what you say. So I'll respect your viewpoint and you respect mine. So I think it has to start with us. We have to be the bigger people because they're not going to do it. So just in your community, in your friends group, stand up, stay strong, and don't waver. You guys are already doing it by showing up.
You know, the one thing I want to add that has not been said, but I saw it in the movie, is that white Americans are under attack, not only in this country, but around the world. And white Americans are the most hated people on this side of heaven. And we saw a shooting down in San Diego on Saturday. A lot of these young white men and women are becoming angry because they can't speak up and they're being accused of everything that goes wrong in this country, especially white, straight, conservative, Christian men of power. And so I've been encouraging the white guys to start speaking up and don't hold that anger inside like that because they are forcing you to become angry, and once you become angry, you're going to carry out what they accuse you of. Exactly. And once you carry it out, then they're going to want to arrest you, they're going to take away your right to bear arms and all that kind of stuff. So I want to encourage white Americans to start speaking up so that you don't pile up that anger and they'll use it against you. So white people got to start speaking up.
Don't let anybody say you can't speak up just because you're white. That's right, that's what they'll tell you, but it's not true.
This question is for Isaiah. First, thank you. You are probably the first high-profile actor that has thus far walked away. My question for you is for other actors in Hollywood. How would you advise those, because there's a lot of them, that are displeased with what's been happening on the left, and we know who runs Hollywood. How have you navigated your career since, and have you lost jobs because of your position, and how would you advise other performers in Hollywood that are kind of feeling the same way to navigate their careers and communicate, without losing an opportunity for those that are working performers in Hollywood?
Yeah, I've been soft gagged. I just was given a wonderful job recently. Woo! Yeah. But hold on. They didn't release the deadline, they held it because they were concerned about my politics.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't sure if I was just going to be bought out of my contract and telling me to stay home. But my boss, Katori Hall, and openly gay Patrick Ian Polk are the executive producers, and they're telling Stars he's fine. So there is no protection. And if you look like me or look like you have 0 friends in Hollywood. Now, having said that, piggybacking on what this young lady said, when she was denied, then out of no other way, you make a way. And I've made a way as a producer. When they killed off the actor 12 years ago, then I had to become a producer. I had to become an author. I had to become, take speaking engagements to survive. And I got a very good pawn shop. That is the greatest banking ever if you get in trouble. And we invested well, my wife and I. So in art and a lot of things. So we have assets that when things got really difficult, well, we just take something off the wall. It's been tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been bone-crushingly tough. But my wife of 23 years is tougher than me, obviously. Yeah. So there's no way out, but I can't, once you've been shot to the other side of the moon and been made a villain in 65 languages, whether it's the truth or not, I can afford to say whatever the hell I want now. It's kind of like when you get a ticket, people have that instinct, let me move the car. No, just let it stay there. You got the ticket. So it's like, I got the ticket. There's no sense in me moving, shutting up now.
Melissa, is that a wrap? I'm so sorry, everybody. That has to be a wrap for this time. We will absolutely be back. This is not the last time. We'll have a town hall in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for all coming out to support WalkAway and the WalkAway Town Hall. Go to walkawaycampaign.com if you'd like to donate, be a part of the movement.